Hello and welcome to the part 2 of my 2024 F1 season simulation. If you missed part 1, make sure to check that one before watching this video. Let's get into it. We're here for round 2 for the 2024 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, which is around the 2024 season. Last time in Bahrain we had fairly chill Grand Prix, nothing too interesting, but this one will be chaotic, and you'll see just why. So, upgrade list. We have only a couple of upgrades, not really any big upgrades yet, as those will come a bit later in the season. So, only Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren didn't bring any updates to their car from Bahrain, so basically the exact same car. Rest brought one upgrades each, with Sauber bringing 2 minor upgrades. We are yet to see if they actually work, but we'll see. You will see, definitely. All right, Q1. So this session was the start of the chaos that will unfold in this one. Okay, we had Perez and Stroll having their own incidents separately. No red flags, thankfully. I don't know if thankfully. Okay, they did end up with no time, unfortunately, for both of them. But we have Max in P1 and Piastri in P2, just 1 time behind, with Leclerc very close behind as well. Norris P4, Russell P5, Sainz P6, Alonso P7, Ricciardo P8, Hamilton P9, Ocon P10, Hulkenberg in a Haas with P11, Tsunoda P12, P13 for Albon, P14 for Gasly, P15 for Bottas, P16 for Sargent, P17 for Zhou, P18 for Magnussen, and Perez and Stroll with no time. This is a provisional one, because in the final one, Hulkenberg loses his time from P11, drops to P16, which means Sargent gets into Q2. Hulkenberg made a mistake, and unfortunately his lap time got deleted. Unfortunately, for the Haas, they both get knocked out in Q1, which also means Zhou gets knocked out as well, just 2 times behind Bottas. Not too bad, but obviously not ideal for them. Then we have Perez and Stroll with no time each. Very unfortunate for Red Bull, especially as they again, they look like with as do they have very good car. Aston as well, though they got podium last time, and Stroll isn't really performing here as well. So yeah, going into Q2, this is a provisional qualifying classification. It was a more chaotic session. We had Hamilton having his incident early in the session, causing damage, and unfortunately couldn't set any more flying laps. With Tsunoda, that was a bit of a incident with a wall. Unfortunately for Tsunoda, caused a red flag, and it was very chaotic towards the end. A lot of drivers improving. We had 9 drivers switching for P1 at the end. We ended up with Piastri in P1, Russell P2, very close behind as well, Norris P3, so no Red Bull in top 3, Sainz P4, Alonso P5, Verstappen and P6. All the top 6 separated by just over 1.5 tenths of a second. Very exciting. Leclerc not far behind in P7, Ricciardo P8, Albon P9, and Gasly P10. We have Ocon P11, P12 for Sargent, and P13 for Bottas, with Tsunoda and Hamilton setting no time, respectively. Yeah, this was the provisional one, and the final qualifying 2 classification is the same. No deleted lap times for anyone. So we have Piastri topping Q2, and the drivers out in Q2, and going into Q3 are Ocon, Sargent, Bottas, Tsunoda, and Hamilton. Going into Q3, this was another interrupted session with Norris crashing out. Unfortunately, a very similar incident to Tsunoda, but this one wasn't as well. This red flag wasn't as long as Tsunoda's one, but this was a red flag nonetheless. And unfortunately, with Norris only managed a P10 with no time because he couldn't return to the pits. Albon crashed as well during the session, but managed to get another flying lap in, but unfortunately wasn't that quick. Yeah, and we'll see later. Yeah. Well, when you look at the rest of the standings or rest of the results, Verstappen P1, not that exciting, but look at those gaps. 0.021 Sainz in P2, 0.022 for Piastri in P3. The top three separated by just over 200 of a second. Very, very close. We'll have to see if anyone gets the lap time deleted. Russell in P4 and Ricciardo P5. Very good for AlphaTauri considering Tsunoda in P15. Same for Russell. Hamilton unfortunately had an off, so Russell had to be the lone Mercedes in Q3. Leclerc in P6, very, very slow lap time. Didn't really manage anything better, unfortunately, because of the red flag. It's very likely that Leclerc would have been at least top 4, if not for the red flag. So, yeah, unfortunate. Alonso P7, another pretty mediocre qualifying for Aston Martin, as we saw last weekend that Alonso could manage a podium from P8? I think it was P8 from the grid, so maybe we can see another Alonso masterclass in the race, who knows. Ocon P8, I mean, it's already an achievement to be in Q3 for Alpine, so I guess that's good. Albon, yeah, P9. I guess at the final qualifying free classification, only one driver gets his lap time delete, and then it's Alex Albon. He was P9 even before the lap time deleted, so doesn't matter. No time for him, so P9. Yeah, the top 3 stay the same. Very close one, but Max on pole position. Getting to the starting grid, we have Max starting in pole position with Sainz in just behind in P2. In the third row, we have Piastri and Russell. Third row, Ricciardo and Leclerc. We have Alonso and Ocon sharing the fourth row on the grid. Very, very interesting. Albon, P9. Norris, P10. That rounds up the top 10. Sargent, P11. Just behind the points, so maybe. Gasly, P12. Bottas, P13. Tsunoda, P14. Hamilton, P15. Yeah, it was very upsetting qualifying. Hulkenberg P16, sorry, is Joe P17, Magnussen P18, and Perez starting P19, Stroll P20, both not able to set a time in Q1. That as a starting grid. We'll see what will happen in the race, and oh boy, you will not expect what happened in the race. The race results. I should probably start with explaining what just happened, because it was a lot. It was chaotic, and chaotic is not a word worthy of this race, I would say. We had early on Hamilton unfortunately DNFing due to a reliability issue, which caused a red flag, which shuffled the order quite a bit. Then we had later on Hulkenberg DNFing due to reliability issues as well. That only caused a safety car, but also shuffled the order quite a bit. And we had Magnussen DNFing, which wasn't due to the reliability issues, it's more of a driver error, which damaged his car, but thankfully he returned to the pits without causing anything, any distraction or disturbance in the race. So then we had Bottas, which was the final nail in the coffin for the non-chaotic result. Well, Bottas crashed in a similar way to Tsunoda in Q2, which was a virtual safety car to start. For some reason, the FI decided to make it a safety car from the virtual safety car, so the virtual safety car made its own shuffles in the order. Then the safety car made its own shuffles in the order, and then the FI decided to make it a red flag anyway. So, yeah, classic FIA. I mean, this race had everything. Had a virtual safety car, 2 safety cars, 2 red flags, and a very interesting winner. So getting into the race results, we have Charles Leclerc winning the Saudi Arabia Grand Prix from P6 on the grid, getting the fastest lap as well. 26 points for the Ferrari driver. Very, very good weekend. Very good improvement over the last weekend. Insane. Totally insane. Following Leclerc into the finish line is Alex Albon in the Williams, getting a P2 from P8, or actually it was P9 on the grid. Absolutely crazy to get for Albon to get his, I think it was his 3rd podium ever, if I remember correctly. 1 or 2 before. This is either 2nd or 3rd podium in his Formula 1 career, and do this in 2024 with the Williams in the 2nd race of the season. Very, very good. Russell finishes the podium in P3, so double podium. Back-to-back podium for Russell. Very good for the Mercedes driver as well. And we have Tsunoda in P4 from P14 in the grid, crashing in Q2. His mechanics managed to repair his car enough for him to race, and oh boy, that was one hell of a race. Yeah, finished P4, getting 12 points for the team. Very, very good for Tsunoda. We have P5 for Piastri, unfortunately dropping places again, 2nd race in a row. Only P5, but I mean, still good damage limitation considering we had some interesting drivers in the bottom 10. Then we have Alonso in P6 for Aston. Not quite a podium as last weekend, but P6 still a good result, considering where Stroll finished. Only P14, we'll get to that. Norris P7, making out 3 positions from the start. Not that impressive. Finished 2 positions behind Piastri. I mean P7, 6 points is still alright, I guess. Ricciardo P8, not quite as good as last weekend. Outperformed by Tsunoda in the race, mostly due to the chaos that unfolded, but still, 4 points is decent for the AlphaTauri. Good weekend for AlphaTauri overall, getting P4 and a P8 and 16 points. P9, Carlos Sainz from the first row, just behind Max. Only P9, 2 points. That was very, very unfortunate, but who had an even more unfortunate race due to the red flags and safety cars, and Max Verstappen, only P10, dropping 9 positions. This is very, very, very interesting, and to an extent very unrealistic as well, but that's what the simulation brought us today. Very, very exciting result for the fans. I mean, not quite as for Max fans, but I mean they're quite used to seeing Max finish P1 or P1, just P1, because the other results is a bad result for Max fan at this point. So yeah, P10, very disappointing race for Red Bull overall. Magneto P11 is actually this P11 actually means the Sauber jumps both Alpine has in the constructors. So P11 for Joe, just outside the points, but considering who other finished in the points ahead of him, I mean, Verstappen and Sainz, that was a difficult task to get points there. Sargent in P12, probably a disappointing result considering Albon finished P2, but still P12 is alright, I guess. Ahead of Perez in P13, starting P19, very, very underwhelming recovery. Still finishing 3 positions behind Max, but that would look alright if it was Max winning. This is not Max winning, this is Max P10 and P13 for Perez. It's very, very, very upsetting for Red Bull in general. Very, very bad weekend. Stroll in P14, same as Perez, but to an extent as Aston Martin is generally a slower car than the Red Bull. So, very underwhelming races for both of them. And then we have the Alpines in P15 and P16. Gasly had a walk-on. It was mostly a very unlucky race for the Alpines. I mean, they started quite high up, but still, they just dropped down in all of the safety cars and red flags that have followed. So unfortunately for Alpine, only P15 and P16, the two last drivers to finish the race. Obviously, we have Hamilton in P17, we have DNF, doesn't really matter. Haas, double DNF, and Bottas in DNF as well. Those positions don't really matter as they're DNFs anyway. So yeah, it was the crazy race results. I'm very very excited for the season after this race because the standings looks interesting to say the least. You'll see that in a second. But I want to point out one thing. This is the first time since Austria 2022, I think, that Leclerc has won from a Verstappen pole. I know there's a meme for that Max wins from basically every single Charles pole, but this one, it's the reverse. The roles are reversed, and Leclerc wins from Max Verstappen pole, and Max finishing in an unlucky P10. So, yeah, interesting. Going to the World Drivers' Championship standings. After round 2, we have Charles Leclerc leading the championship on 33 points. Yeah, but this is probably exciting for Ferrari fans. And we have Russell on equal points, but since Leclerc has one more victory, and it's Russell in P2. And we have Max in P3. Obviously, with that victory from Bahrain and the 1 point from Saudi Arabia. With 2 pole positions, Max Verstappen in P3 in the championship is very strange, but exciting. On the other hand, so yeah, we have Alonso in P4, very consistent so far, getting a podium and a P6. But we have Albon in P5 in the World Drivers' Championship after the podium in Saudi Arabia. Alex Albon is ahead of both AlphaTauris, both McLarens, and Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz. It is crazy. I'm very excited for the season. Norris P6. Could have been better. Tsunoda P7. I mean, I don't think he would have asked for much more after that first race. We have Perez in P8, equal in points with Tsunoda, but since Tsunoda has the better overall finishes, he's ahead. Then we have Piastri in P9, same on points, but worse overall positions. P10 for Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship so far, 23 points behind Russell, but we know just how good Lewis is. And we could very well see Hamilton ahead of Russell within the next 5 races, just considering just how crazy the season is already. We have Ricciardo in P11 with 8 points, and the last driver with points is Carlos Sainz in P12. 30 points behind Leclerc. This already looks like a very bad season for Carlos Sainz, unfortunately. I think it was a P9 and a P10 finish in his first 2 races. Not quite what he would have hoped for, but I mean, as we saw with Leclerc, the Ferrari has the pace for at least podiums minimum, so hopefully we can see some redemption from Carlos Sainz. P13 is Guanyu Zhou. I mentioned that already. This P11 put him and the Sauber quite higher up in the championships, as a lot of drivers don't have points still. Sargent P14, I think it is. So yeah, I mean P14 for Sargent in the World Drivers' Championship doesn't look bad, considering he finished 21st in the 2023, but here we have Albon in P5 after just getting a second place in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, quite a margin for improvement. The Alpine drivers in P15 and P16, nothing much there to talk about. Stroll P17, very, very upsetting. P18 and P19 for the Haas drivers. I mean, they're in Haas. We shouldn't really expect much from Haas anyway. And P20 Bottas, who finished P19 in the first race and DNF'd in the other one. So that's the World Drivers' Championship standings after round 2. Getting to the constructors, we have actually Mercedes in first place, with the only team getting 2 podiums in the span of 2 races. They're on 43 points, but don't have a victory yet. Neither pole position, neither fastest lap. So, and we have Red Bull in P2 with 38 points. victory, podium, 2 pole positions, and 0 fastest laps. Ferrari jumped up 2 places to P3 with 36 points and a victory, and 2 fastest laps. Actually, they got all the fastest laps so far. McLaren P4, yeah, could have been better as well. Aston Martin dropped 2 places to P5, 23 points. Just behind him is AlphaTauri actually in P6 with 20 points. As I said, very good weekend for AlphaTauri and for Williams, who are P7 now. But they were P7 before because of the results. But now they have 18 points in the podium, so very exciting for the Williams team. Sauber, as I mentioned, P8 in the Constructors Championship as the show finished P11, and that was just enough for them to jump both Alpine and Haas. Yeah, Alpine P9, very, very bad season so far for Alpine, and P10 for Haas. Pretty much as expected for the American team. Yeah, okay. The upcoming race is Australia, which was very exciting in 2023, so hopefully we can get another exciting race. Maybe not as chaotic as this one is. This one, honestly, it was very exciting to do, but I don't think it should. This chaos should be in for every single race of the season, because it's removes the aspect of realism to an extent, and I still want this simulation to be hopefully at least a bit realistic for you to watch it. Yeah, if you enjoyed this video and you're excited for more races, consider subscribing. This is very fun to do, and hopefully I can do the entire season and before the winter break. So thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.